Hello YouTubers, this is Cessna Ace back again with another ads video, a video cassette ads video, this time VHS. By the way, you want to keep watching my channel because coming up I am going to, well, I have already started to collect a video cassette format which I have never before collected. And I have collected Betamax in the past, or Betamax, depending on where you live. This is a format that was never released in the US. It was a very technologically advanced format for its time. In fact, it still there are features that it had that have not made it into other formats. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pre-records came out for this video cassette format. It wasn't released in the US. Enough of the clues. Okay, sometime last year, my wife and I received 4 or 5 huge boxes of VHS tapes, most of which in this style case. Most of which are Disney, although not all. Some are duplicate copies of releases we already had. Some were the same film, but newer releases, some THX certified, that we didn't have a THX certified release. But there were a lot that we didn't have. And my wife is a big Disney fanatic. And so she said, you have to rehabilitate these tapes and we have to save them. Now, this first one is not a Disney film. It came out the same year as A Bug's Life. It has the same basic theme. It's animated. They came out the same year, but this one actually hit theaters first. Ants. This is from DreamWorks. The hero Ant, Z, played by Woody Allen. And on the DVD that I have, in the extras, the producers mentioned that Woody Allen was their first choice, but they never in a million years expected him to say yes. But he did. And if you're a Woody Allen film fan, as I am, you may want to check this out because critics have called it an animated Woody Allen film. It has, especially when he's being psychoanalyzed, a very Woody Allen feel to it. This film also has a huge cast. Sylvester Stallone, Sharon Stone, Gene Hackman, just a whole bunch of major actors. This was the first computer animated film from DreamWorks. Seems like all the studios have their own company they go to make their computer animated films. Disney, Pixar. Fox has Blue Sky. DreamWorks has PDI, who of course then went on to do the Shrek films, and I think Robots. But anyway, really like this movie. Okay, for decades Disney had a policy: no remakes and no sequels to earlier films that they had done, no matter how successful they were. It took Michael Eisner to change that. He came in, he started doing remakes and sequels galore. But one that sequel that came out was one that Disney himself had planned on doing. But the first film was so expensive that it didn't make back its initial production costs. It took several re-releases before it made back its cost. It was very expensive to produce. This, as I said, is the sequel. Fantasia 2000. Disney himself had planned on periodically coming out with a new Fantasia film, but that didn't happen. Until the much dreaded Michael Eisner. This is a library copy. I know for two reasons. One, the catalog reference number has a catalog sticker over it for a library, and on the cassette itself and on the inside of the case it says Alachua County Library District. So being no dummy, I put all those factors together and aha, this was part of the library in Alachua County. I'm from Walt Disney Home Video, but I can't tell you the catalog number. The reason I already explained. Disney was way ahead of his time with the first Fantasia. If you go to a Disney theme park, you're going to run into these elements frequently when you go to see one of their many 3D movies. But Disney, with the original Fantasia, had planned on pumping in aromas during certain sequences and spraying the audience with water during certain sequences and so forth. That sort of thing is common now at, like I said, the Disney theme parks. But this was the 1940s that he was planning on doing this. But the film was already way over budget, and so those plans were scrapped. The film did, however, sport an early version of Dolby 5.1 surround, the 40s. I think the Disney version was called Fantasound. But anyway, basically, surround sound. Okay. I have a remake here, the Disney classic. This is Flubber, a remake to The Absent-Minded Professor, which we have on VHS, CED, and Laserdisc. The Laserdisc of The Absent-Minded Professor is beautiful. Now, in The Absent-Minded Professor, he flies, with the aid of Flubber, a Ford Model T. That looks, from the front grille, very much like a Ford Thunderbird, circa 63, 64. So that would be a kind of Model T, a Model Thunderbird. Starts with the letter T. Last time I went to school. I once saw one of those, a black one I think it was, in an Elvis Presley movie. I said, I gotta get me a 63 or 64, whatever year it was, Thunderbird. Man, that's a beautiful car. And it's not happened. Of course, my wife talks about saving for something really nice sometime down the road. And I said, yeah, switch on. Yes. Yes. And she smiled because she knows I'm a fanatic when it comes to that. Did I show you inside? I don't know. I can't remember. This is Walt Disney Home Video Release 12865. Okay, this falls in the category of we didn't already have this one. We didn't have any of those either. I'm not sure if my wife had heard of this series or not. But if I'm not mistaken, there were 3 films and a television series. This is the first film, Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey. Which I can't off the top of my head tell you what year this came out because Disney doesn't ever put years on their packaging because their films are timeless. This is Walt Disney Home Video Release 6779. Okay, I mentioned that there were 3 films in the series. This is the second one. Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco. Could do a joke and say most of the people in San Francisco are lost. But I won't, because I have subscribers from all over the place, and some might be in San Francisco. So I wouldn't say anything like that. I've done about as nice a job as I can cleaning these up and so forth. Walt Disney Home Video Release 7893. Now, I have not run across the third film. Maybe in the batch with 4 or 5 boxes. I don't know. This is one I had never heard of. It is a sequel to a sequel to a hit film. And if I look in Leonard Maltin's film guide, the original film is in there, and the first sequel is in there, but this one isn't. And it stars Rick Moranis, as the other films did. This was before he went into self-imposed retirement because his wife had died of cancer, and he wanted to stay home and raise his kids. He didn't want a nanny or somebody to raise his kids, which is highly commendable. But anyway, they have an attraction at Disney World based on this series. Anyway, this is called Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. I remember reading in Variety after Michael Eisner took over Disney. He said Disney had one of the thinnest libraries of films to release on home video. And the theaters really like to have, say, a studio that provides them with a continual stream of films. And Disney was only releasing a handful at a year. So he promised he was going to produce a minimum of 1 to release every single week, and he was drastically going to increase the number of made-for-TV movies and direct-to-video and all this stuff. And they created a couple of sub-studios within the main studio, Touchstone Home Video, Touchstone Pictures, and Hollywood Pictures, Hollywood Pictures Home Entertainment. And I believe the first Touchstone film I ever saw in a theater was Who Framed Roger Rabbit. A film that saved the animated genre or form. So animation was dying at that point, and that film wowed audiences and the critics, and it had animated characters from just about every studio that made them except Terry Toons. And they tried to get, I don't know if it was Heckle and Jekyll or Mighty Mouse, but the estate for Paul Terry, I believe his first name was Paul, was delaying, so they had to write it off. But they had characters from Disney and from Warner Brothers and from Universal, Walter Lantz, and from Disney's arch enemies, arch rivals, the Fleischer Studio. They had, I can't remember if Popeye was in there, but Betty Boop was. Anyway, this is Walt Disney Home Video Release 8007, all new full-length motion picture. My guess is it was made for video, but I don't really know. Okay, this is a film Have it on Laserdisc. I don't really care for it. Dustin Hoffman, Robin Williams, Julia Roberts, Bob Hoskins, who is in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Hook. Of course, this is a retelling of Peter Pan. This was originally released to theaters by TriStar. But I can't remember if that was before or after Sony bought Columbia Pictures and they wound up with TriStar, because by that time TriStar was formed by 3 entities. Coca-Cola, which was owned by Columbia Pictures, and Disney. When Sony bought Columbia Pictures, they got their third of TriStar, and they got Coca-Cola's third of TriStar, and they eventually bought Walt Disney's third. So became a wholly owned Sony subsidiary. This is it says TriStar on the spine. But on the back it says TriStar, and it says Amblin Entertainment, and it says Columbia TriStar Home Video. Release 58853. Again, Steven Spielberg, where is the THX certification? Okay, we already had a VHS copy of this film, although it was an earlier release. This one is fully restored, limited edition, THX certified. The Jungle Book. Of course, decades later, Disney came out with a sequel with John Goodman in the role originally voiced by Phil Harris. Walt Disney Masterpiece Collection. Walt Disney Home Video. Release 11070. Okay, this is a sequel. Lady and the Tramp 2, Scab's Adventure. I don't know if this was released theatrically or direct to video. I guess it would be direct to video, but what do I know? Walt Disney Home Video Release 21226. This is a remake, but it's a remake of a film that originally wasn't made by Disney. So at least they're breaking out of the box somewhat there, making a remake to a film they didn't originally make. Mighty Joe Young. About 50 years separate the original from this remake. No THX certification logo. This is a remake. I believe it's been remade several times. This was not remade by Disney. It was remade by John Hughes for Fox. Miracle on 34th Street. I got 2 good critical responses. And 4 stars from Michael Medved. This is the new holiday classic that America has been waiting for. Well, I wasn't waiting for it. 20th Century Fox Home Video, or, well, actually it says 20th Century Fox Home Entertainment here and Fox Video there. This is release 8689. This is a classic film, rather depressing at the end though, and it's one we didn't already have. I was surprised when I asked my wife, do we already have this? And she said, no. Old Yeller. THX certified, if you missed it. This has approximately 15 minutes of bonus programming. Walt Disney Home Video release 11815. And finally for this video, The Swan Princess, Escape from Castle Mountain. This is a sequel, I believe, to The Swan Princess. This is from Warner Brothers Family Entertainment. Produced by Nest Entertainment. Okay. This is release T8030. Have I do this? I don't remember. I don't think so. Now I'm going to clean up another batch, and I have, as I stated, some video cassettes coming in a different format, a format I've never collected before. I have tapes coming from pre-records coming from Germany and the Netherlands and the UK, and I've got my line on a bunch more from somebody at the Laserdisc database, and the seller in Germany has a lot of them. Now, judging from what somebody at the Laserdisc database said, they have or have had something like 750 pre-records in this particular format. Most of the members of the Laserdisc database, when I started threads on it, show pictures of a player, VCR, and pictures of some of the releases, and mentioned some of the features about. I never heard of this format. You mean you could do this and that with a video cassette? Yes. Okay. I'm sure people in the UK and throughout Europe and Scandinavia have already figured out the format I'm talking about, but there are a lot of formats I haven't started collecting yet, even though I've started collecting. I have collections of about 10 formats. So This will be number 11 if the 10 formats was an accurate count. And back there, I have a package of comic books that I need to do a video on. These are special comics for special people. And that's all I'm going to say for now, because I'm babbling. Abba dabba babbling. Oh. Somebody, all those karaoke laserdiscs and so forth that I submitted to the Laserdisc database and were pending have gone through. They're processed now, so they're in there, and they're in my collection now, the Laserdisc database. So look for member Cessna Ace, spelled the same there as it is here, and you can see my entire collection. And you may think, with over 1,150 Laserdiscs in my collection, that I have one of the largest collections there. It's not true. There are collections that you can make your collection visible to other people, such as mine, or you can make it so that only you can see your collection. The largest visible collection, the guy is here in America, and his collection is over 8,000 Laserdiscs. Now, prior to that, there had been a collection that was public but has gone private, probably because some of the other people who had public collections went private because they kept getting contacted from people who saw what they had. And, ooh, will you sell that to me? I've been looking for that forever. They got tired of it. But this one guy with the over 8,000 Laserdiscs says it's still visible. And there was a collection, a guy in Italy. His collection included Laserdiscs, digital VHS, HD DVD, and Muse High Vision. All formats that are tracked by the Laserdisc database. And his collection was approaching 10,000 when he went private. So, I mean, this guy that has over 8,000 and his is public, he said, feel free to go through my collection and see maybe there's something in there that you'll find interesting and you'll look for. And that's what I've been doing. In fact, I told him I've already been doing that. He mentioned that he's been going through my collection too, so, you know, hey, whatever. But I said no, that I was abba-dabba babbling, and what brought that to mind was another ABBA disc has surfaced. Somebody there in the forums had mentioned that they had a whole bunch of discs that were made for Pioneer's Laserdisc format video karaoke system known as the Laser Juke. And they had never added them because he didn't think that anybody at the database would be interested in them. And I said, add them. Well, since then, somebody has added a volume of the Laser Juke Laserdiscs. And one of the Laserdiscs that were submitted, Laser Juke discs, had music videos for ABBA, Dancing Queen, The Who, The Beatles, I can't remember who else, but that in itself, I mean, ABBA, The Beatles, and The Who on one Laserdisc. Hey, I want that, but I keep going through and finding things, and I want them, and so I put them in my wish list and how much I'm willing to pay for them and what grade I will settle for no less than. And so I haven't added that to my wish list because my maximum is $50, and I don't think anybody would sell me that for $50. I might be wrong, but I doubt it. And I've been babbling here for another 5 minutes or more. So until next time, stay awesome. But newer releases, some THX certified, that we didn't have a THX certified release. But there were a lot that we didn't have. And my wife is a big Disney fanatic. And so she said, you have to rehabilitate these tapes and we have to save them. Now, this first one is not a Disney film. It came out the same year as A Bug's Life. It has the same basic theme. It's animated. They came out the same year, but this one actually hit theaters first. Ants. This is from Dream. It has, especially when he's being psychoanalyzed, a very Woody Allen feel to it. This film also has a huge cast. Sylvester Stallone, Sharon Stone, Gene Hackman, just a whole bunch of major actors. This was the first computer animated film from DreamWorks. Seems like all the studios have their own company they go to. Hello YouTubers, this is Cessna Ace back again with another ads video, a Videocassette Adds video, this time VHS. By the way, you want to keep watching my channel because coming up I am going to, well, I have already started to collect a videocassette format which I have never before collected. And I have collected Betamax in the past, or Betamax, depending on where you live. This is a format that was never released in the US. It was a very technologically advanced format for its time. In fact, it still works. The hero Ant Z, played by Woody Allen. And on the DVD that I have, in the extras, the producers mentioned that Woody Allen was their first choice, but they never in a million years expected him to say yes, but he did. And if you're a Woody Allen film fan, as I am, you may want to check this out because critics have called it an animated Woody Allen film. Features that it had that have not made it into other formats. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pre-records came out for this videocassette format. It wasn't released in the US. Enough of the clues. Okay, sometime last year, my wife and I received 4 or 5 huge boxes of VHS tapes, most of which in this style case. Most of which are Disney, although not all. Some are duplicate copies of releases we already had. Some were the same film,